Week 9, one of the most impactful, most pivotal games of the college football season in the SEC. Not Bama LSU, not Georgia Texas. Those are pivotal in their own right. Alabama at South Carolina. What did we learn last year assessing the college football playoff? The SEC bubble is extremely delicate. We had 3 teams on the bubble last year. South Carolina, Alabama, Ole Miss. I don't want to be overly dramatic, but this could be a playoff game. October 25th could be a playoff game for both sides. South Carolina could be anywhere from 0 to 2 losses coming in my humble opinion. But if you're going to take the next step that Shane Beamer and I think that team expect to take, which is competing for college football playoff bids and all those things, you got to win games like this. When you have one of the premier brands in the sport, still one of the best head coaches in the sport, one of the best rosters in the sport, in Alabama rolling into your place in Cocktober, you got to go get it done, man. You absolutely have to get it done because you're at LSU, you have Oklahoma before this game, then after this game, you go to Ole Miss, and then you also, just for good measure, have games at A&M and Clemson to finish. So I understand now the Clemson game isn't going to be part of the whole discussion for the SEC, but don't leave it up to a spot like last year where you're playing Clemson in the Palmetto Bowl and you're like, okay, can we boost the resume enough to get in? Don't have that conversation. Just feel good enough that last game of the season because you took care of business against Alabama to go get in the college football playoff, that the Clemson game is going to be either for seeding or it's going to be a game before the SEC title game. Just whatever it is, handle business. And handling business to me looks a lot like checking this box. Now, kind of the same thing for Alabama. They're at Georgia, got Vanderbilt, which we now have to consider, with Diego Pavia still there, playing his 19th year of college football. God bless him. At Missouri, Tennessee, and then you have this game, and then you also have LSU and Oklahoma afterwards, and of course you finish with the Iron Bowl. This is one of those when you count up as an Alabama fan the math it would take to get to 10 wins, which we're assuming in the SEC is going to be good enough to get you into the college football playoff. If you're counting up to 10 wins, this is one of those that you probably circle as a win for Bama. If you're a Crimson Tide fan, one of those got-to-have-it games. Because like at Georgia, we'll see, a little bit tricky. LSU, again, we'll see. Auburn, you never know, especially with it being at Auburn. Like there's so much there for Alabama where I don't think you can afford to have a game to South Carolina that doesn't break your way and still feel like you have a great chance to make the college football playoff. The thing to me that's interesting about this game, how often do we talk about the traits of a Nick Saban coached football team in Tuscaloosa and how they would walk in, kick the door down, didn't matter what day of the week it was, and they would take over your whole situation. Didn't matter if it was, the most hostile environment in college football, whether it was neutral site. Like the Nick Saban traits of his team was, we don't care about the elements, we don't care about the external. We're the same team every time. For Kalen DeBoer and this football team, with the ramp up they have to this game that I just told you about, Georgia, Missouri, Tennessee, for them to be able to go to Williams-Brice and get a win over that quarterback and the team with that much momentum in South Carolina, I think there's a chance for us to see the Kalen DeBoer traits. And y'all, I'll be real, we saw the Kalen DeBoer traits when he was at Washington. That team was living on the edge every single week. I mean, I can't even remember how many one-score games they won. It felt like the majority, though, during that national title berth season at Washington. I think they're capable of it, but I want to see it in this game. Because if you're going to elevate Alabama back to where they've been, if you're Kalen DeBoer, again, one of those got-to-have-it spots, if you will. Now, the decider for this game for me is all about Lenore Sellers. Is he Clark Kent or is he Superman? What can Ken Womack do here? Because the roster talent probably still favors Alabama. As well as South Carolina has trended, and as much as they're doing to try and get to that same tier of talent level, it's still going to require Lenore Sellers to make up the difference. Now, I think he's more than good enough to do that. We've seen it time and time again from him, but is he able to in this spot with that spotlight and with Kane Womack now in his second year as the defensive coordinator? More continuity. I think there's a lot more confidence this year during the spring practice period around that defense, and a lot less inexperience, too, for Alabama on that side of the football. I'll pair with that, whoever the new quarterback is for Alabama, can they handle what Williams-Brice is? Because we've seen a lot of good quarterbacks walk into that environment and fall apart. Whoever gets the keys to this Bama offense, whether it's a true freshman in Keelan Russell or a first-year starter in Austin Mack or Ty Simpson, it'll be new. It'll be some acclimation, some adjustments. So all that's to say, that to me will have a massive say, not just on the SEC race, but the college football playoff race as a whole.